And if you look at the Charities Commission of New Zealand's material, the advancement of religion is considered to be of public benefit. Public attend religious services, Scientology services, and they benefit from that process. It's a spiritual thing, and it's something that is deemed and has been deemed for hundreds of years to be.
Sorry, Mr. Ferriss, that's not what I'm asking you. I mean, the assertion has been made by Ms. Stewart that if this bill went through the Australian Parliament, that it would be a danger for the survival, I assume, of the Church of Scientology. What I'm asking you is why, given the similarity of the issues in this bill and your operation in New Zealand, and you are an officer of the Church of Scientology of New Zealand, explain to me why it hasn't been the demise or the death of the Church of Scientology in New Zealand. What's the difference?
We're not being tested on a basis of public benefit against harm. That is not part of the test for the Charities Commission of New Zealand.
Which,
That doesn't seem to be the evidence.
no, that's not what I understand.
Okay, well maybe I don't know the answer to the question.
But can you see that this is a fundamental question? If you come here and your first assertion is that this bill will destroy Scientology, yet you as an officer of the Church of Scientology in New Zealand operate under similar legal obligations and it hasn't destroyed you in New Zealand, what are we to make of the submission that you put forward this morning or this afternoon? What will we make of that?
I would like to add something on that regard. I think the point that I also was making in my submission, my opening statement, was that I was not just referring to the Church of Scientology. I also was referring to all charities in Australia that would be affected. There are quite some significant submissions that were submitted to the committee that attested to that fact, that the onerous...
But you're not saying you're here talking for other charities, are you?
Yes.
Are you talking for other charities?
I'm talking on behalf of us, and
okay,
from
well,
that point
let's
in
stick,
a generality...
let's stick to the Church of Scientology,
Yes.
please. Don't make comments about other charities if you're not representing them.
Sure.
So I'm asking the office bearer, Mr. Mike Ferriss, why, if there are these restrictions and obligations in New Zealand, why you come here and say that this is the death of Scientology in Australia? It's a nonsense, isn't it?
Senator, I haven't said that it's the death of Scientology.
What you
in Australia.
said, I'll tell you exactly what you said.
Yep.
It would put at risk the future of organisations.
Yes.
Does that include Scientology?
Depends, Senator, how the...
So you were talking for others, not Scientology, when you said that?
I feel I was speaking on as a generality, not just on our behalf.
So, Mr. Ferriss, do you want to explain to us how you can continue to operate in New Zealand under the same sort of overview that would be required under this bill? Can you explain to us how it works in New Zealand?
1 moment, Senator.
Well, of course we haven't suffered under the New Zealand Charities Commission. That's true. This bill refers to the UK Charities Commission, and the UK Charity Commission denied Scientology recognition in 1999. The New Zealand Charities Commission ignored that and gave us charitable status in our country.
But what we've got to decide is whether this bill should proceed in its current form, whether this committee will support that proposal. We're entitled to look at the New Zealand Charities Commission, as we have done, the UK Charities Commission, as we will do later today, and given that you operate effectively, and that's my word, you operate effectively and meet your obligations under the New Zealand Charities Commission, if a Charities Commission was established in Australia, and we want to recommend a Charities Commission type approach with similar tests to New Zealand, would that be a problem for the Church of Scientology?
I don't think it would be. I think it would be fair. I think the New Zealand Charities Commission has treated us fairly. I've seen some of their other decisions and of other religious groups which they have treated fairly. The Carmelite nuns, for example, are a charity in New Zealand where they're not in the UK. I think it's a fair process, and we're certainly experiencing that in New Zealand, yes, Senator.
Are you a member, are you an office bearer of the church in the UK?
No, I'm not, sir.
Okay, now I noticed in the New Zealand Charities Commission report your statement of income and expenditure, which is a public document. I was wondering, you know, if the problem was that when the Charities Commission came into place, you had an income of $2.6 million in New Zealand in 2007. In the following year, the income drops to $374,000. Is there any link between that drop in income and having to report to the Charities Commission? What's the issue there?
No, I'd have to, it wasn't anything to do with reporting to the Charities Commission. I think that drop in income was actually, from memory, the exchange rate drop.
What?
To do, yeah, absolutely. And that can be clarified.
I knew a lot of countries were in trouble, but I didn't think New Zealand were in that much trouble.
But I can take that on notice and provide you with the exact information if that's
yeah, that's fine.
Yeah,
thanks for that. I hope it's not the New Zealand exchange rate. Now, there's been much said about, you know, religious freedom. I've read the bill. There's nothing here in the bill that says anything about religious freedom. And it's not about the Church of Scientology. It's a general-based approach. It's not about religious freedom. So why would you be concerned about this bill if it doesn't go to the issue of religious freedom?
I'd like to answer that if I may.
Sure.
I think if you refer to the judgment of the High Court in the Church of the New Faith and Scientology, which again is in my opinion, you'll see that all the judges say that when, basic to paraphrase, when bureaucrats and the government get involved with deciding what is and what isn't religion and enacting laws that impede upon that, it does go to religious freedom.
Well, how come both in the UK and New Zealand we moved from the Charter of Elizabeth, I think it's called?
The Statute of Elizabeth.
Statute of Elizabeth. How come we moved from that approach to a Charities Commission without all the issues you've raised in your legal opinion?
Well, under the UK change, I think that there are several reasons why we are different. It's a Charities Commission. It doesn't actually address religion, I think you'll find. The UK does not have, it has a public benefit test. It does not have a greater good than harm requirement. There is no requirement that you weight the benefit against the harm. It's not in mandatory regulations, and there is an entire new bill, the Charities, entire new act, which takes all of this outside the realm of Parliament. The Charities Commission's unanswerable to the Minister. It's an independent body. It's set up a tribunal and a commission, and it determines cases, and it got rid of the public law presumption of public benefit, but it applies to charities. And I guess I'd also say we've had two inquiries here, one in 2002, which was a very lengthy inquiry, and this Treasury paper refers to it in detail, and one with the NGO inquiry just recently, and they have determined after a lot of public consultation not to proceed with a public benefit test and not to override the common law, particularly in light of the fact that this government's committed to reducing the bureaucracy, not expanding it.
Can you point me to those deliberative decisions?
Yes, I think if you look at the Treasury paper, which is before you, at page...
I'm talking about government decisions. The Treasury doesn't make these
No,
decisions.
the Treasury paper refers to the government inquiry.